Hello and welcome to Hey, this movie looked really scary as a kid and I really don't want to watch it. I'm Dan,
I'm Michael.
I'm Helena.
Poppy.
and for this episode, we're watching Jack Frost, 1997.
He's,
Full
he's
title.
chilling and he's killing
Yes, chilling.
in that order.
So, Poppy, what's your story with this movie?
Well, I kind of bended the rules a bit when you asked me to come up with a story that I was scared to watch as a child because I was sort of a weird kid and I wanted to watch all of these movies. So the story behind this one was when I was about 5 or 6, there was an independent VHS rental store down the road from me because I'm old, and it had Halloween posters in the window, and this was one of them. And I begged my mum to see it, and she wouldn't let me. And to be honest, now all I've got to say is thanks, Mum. You were right. Yeah, it probably wasn't the best idea.
Not because it's too scary.
I
because
just
you
want to
was-
stress that the movie had been out probably 5 years by the time I saw this poster, so it wasn't even a current release.
Yeah.
He just thought it looked like a punchy poster.
He's the scariest looking in the poster, though.
Oh yeah, he's a
Yeah.
completely different snowman in the poster.
Yeah. No, he never looks like that in the film.
No.
Thinking back.
I was
yeah, he's
waiting
never
for the
that
scene where
scary.
he got teeth.
Yeah, I
He's
know, right? He
barely
gets
in
teeth
it.
near the end,
Let's
but
be
Yeah,
honest.
but he never looks like he does on the cover.
no, never.
He's barely in the film. I
Yeah.
really mean he doesn't look like what he's in on the poster. He's the snowman's barely in the film.
So can we talk about the weird opening narration?
The
Oh,
whole-
It went on for
yeah.
3 minutes.
It was so long.
Yeah.
It was
Mm,
yeah,
it's
fuck
like-
you, Uncle Henry.
the
Uncle
weirdest.
Henry is like, he's like a less responsible Uncle Buck.
He's a
Yeah.
dickhead.
Yeah.
Yeah, why is he trying to freak out this poor little kid?
Well, he did say, what were the two options? He said, do you want a scary or a exciting story? What were the two options that he said? I'm going to be honest. I like
No, that's too long ago for
I-
me.
70%.
I
of the
repressed
time.
the opening narration immediately. I was
Okay,
like, I'm not- let's forget all about all that.
I had
gave
kind
the
of
kid
forgotten
two
it until
options.
you mentioned it.
He gave the kid two options, and the kid said both, and you could hear him go, like, and you felt him go, "You little shit." You
Yeah,
little shit,
and by
shit."
kid you mean obviously an adult doing the worst fake child
Oh
voice.
God, it
ever.
sounded like the doll in Resident Evil 8.
he was talking to himself. That's the
yeah,
thing.
yeah, he's fucking mental. Like,
Hell,
Yeah, it was weird baby talk.
yeah,
Almost kind of fetish level baby talk. And the little
But-
screeches and shudders, it was not pleasant.
Yeah.
I'm just relieved that they they used it as the credits and you didn't have to see either of them.
Yeah,
oh, I know, right? I did kind of like how they did the credits of it being like on like Christmas ornaments and stuff.
I would have preferred that, but with no narration.
Yes, the narration did not add
Yeah,
anything.
do you reckon that's
It's not-
because they didn't have the budget to do it in like visual effects?
Absolutely.
They couldn't hire anyone crazy enough to be Uncle Henry.
They spent all that money on a bespoke snowman suit.
That's
Yeah.
true. You say suit; it was a statue that they pushed about.
oh, it was.
So
And then some oven mitts.
the first scene where they're driving Jack Frost to his execution,
Yes,
and
weird.
it immediately establishes itself as having some awful dialogue because there's this scene where one of the drivers says, "Oh well, he's pretty lucky he doesn't have to drive in this snow," and the other one's like, "He's being executed."
Yeah,
Yeah.
and,
And then he's like, well, yeah, we have to drive there and back.
Also, did anyone notice that all of the vehicles in this were oddly lit vehicles? All the vehicles are really strangely lit. They all have extremely big light up dashboards.
because no one in this film knew how to make a film. I'm convinced no one knew. So when they said light the car, they just went all right and just threw light at the car.
Yeah, it was not well made.
The guy who played Jack Frost, however,
He was the only.
he
actor.
wants to be Gary Busey so bad.
he was
Yeah.
giving me the vibes of Mac's dad from Always Sunny.
It was
Yeah.
kind of like, hey, you're only going to be human in this movie for about 10 minutes, so we really want you to ham it up. It's that bit where the police officer blows the smoke into his face and he goes, filtered.
Yeah,
A weird line.
it's so
Is it
like
like judgmental that this guy's smoking a filtered cigarette, or
he's such a bad guy that he can smell what kind of smoke, what cigarette you're smoking. He's just that kind of bad guy. He's a bad boy. Is kind of the vibe I got. It's something a high school girl would write.
Yeah.
He comes across as like a Scooby-Doo Batman villain.
The story is essentially the same as Chucky, but with a snowman. So he's Chucky before he's Chucky. Like the story is exactly pretty much the same.
So they're hit by an oncoming truck that's carrying this weird chemical, and the crash is
Chemical?
very bad.
Oh yeah, it's
It's
just
very
spinning the
badly
camera. Literally just spinning the camera in circles.
I mean, before
Yeah.
the crash, he does kill the guard on the inside with
Yeah.
his feet. So you know he's a bad dude. You know he's still killing. He's not got any remorse.
Which is stupid in the way that he drives into this truck full of chemicals, and turns out the chemicals are a weapon that
Yeah.
transform your biology into whatever is around you. Apparently,
An acid that can make you become a.
yeah.
I
they
don't.
kept-
It
fucking-
was like to move your soul or your consciousness into
which is
something else. But
chemically-
unfortunately, it mixes with the snow.
yeah. Also, chemically, that's not how you define an acid. Like that's that's not what that's just a liquid. That's not what an acid does.
It does kind of melt him though, and I'd imagine it had to be pretty acidic to do that.
But is that do you define it as an acid? Is your defining feature of a chemical that makes
I mean, they make the solid decision to not go too far
No,
into
they
how
don't,
this
yeah.
actually works.
But actually, it just bothered me that they kept calling it acid because it's not.
I mean, it can be acidic. You just don't want it to be defined by its pH.
Yeah, no, that's not the defining. Don't call it that. So, I'm gonna fully admit, past this point, and I missed the middle of this film pretty much because I just it's so hard to pay attention to this film.
Oh man, I totally disagree. I was hooked. I thought this film was so bad, but it was like comforting and
Yeah.
like
Oh.
predictable and
You mean you didn't enjoy this kid making the worst baking I have ever seen ever?
I'm gonna
With
do
his-
this.
I didn't
God.
like that bit actually.
His
Ryan
weird
making
chocolate
his
mush.
chocolate lumps.
But
Yeah.
we do find
On the
out, and I won't
stove.
spoil it just yet, but we do find out why it looks so.
Yeah, we'll come back to that.
makes
Yeah,
all the
at this
sense.
point, the POV has shifted to like a small Midwest town, nice family and everything, but you know that Jack Frost is
The
coming
sheriff.
for him.
The sheriff who managed to basically accidentally catch Jack Frost.
Also, not a large nitpick or anything, but there's a bit where the mum says to Ryan, "Hey, why don't you go and finish this snowman that's apparated in our backyard?" And she hands him 3 carrots.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like-
In what world?
one for the nose, one for each nipple.
No.
It
She's
is
giving-
cold outside.
She's giving him a massive carrot dick.
This whole plot line is going on concurrently with a town fair where there's a snowman building contest, and I have a lot to say about it because first of all they say, "Oh yeah, we're building these snowmen, I finished this one," and then they say, "Yeah, but we're judging them on Friday." Who builds a snowman and then judges it on a different day? Also, the
Well,
snow is it's entirely in this one area where the snowmen are being built,
Mhm.
and
they're,
you
like,
can
dragging
see it nowhere
them
else on the set.
They like bring them across in wheelbarrows, but it's also not great fake snow. They're clearly not filming somewhere cold.
No, exactly. And then there's the weird guy in the background that's just made some like snow titties and he's groping them.
Oh yeah,
That's
copping a
funny.
snow titty.
Remember,
For a horror
film is-
film like that, when
also-
for gratuitous tits, that's pretty good.
you need to remember this film is also a comedy.
Yeah.
It tries to. And I'm gonna be real bad about this film.
So, Jack
Hmm.
Frost is back. The sheriff walks back into his office and he looks at his assistant, and there's this scene where he says, "Well, why'd you look like that? Did someone die?" And she holds up this card that says, "Someone died."
One of my first notes was, boy, there were sure a lot of hairdryer scenes in this film.
Well, yeah, they've got a
But they
foreshadow.
build up to that. That actually comes back. That's how they sort of melt
Yeah.
him a bit later.
Yeah,
There are-
exactly.
There is an attempt at foreshadowing in this film. No, I will say the foreshadowing is probably the only thing it does right.
One thing we haven't talked about just before we move on is the animation of Jack Frost's blood cells getting frosty.
Oh,
Oh,
dear,
yeah,
yeah.
that
I
was-
think
that's-
you've probably all forgotten about that willingly.
It's my favorite scene from Spider-Man, from any of the first.
Basically, it
Spider-Man
crash
movies.
zooms into this puddle of snow mixed with Jack, mixed with genetic material chemical, acid.
It's a,
And
Oh.
and it zooms in, and you just see it zooms into what looks like his red blood cells, and then they just sort of ice over.
killing him instantly.
Because
But
the acid
not
that
killing
melted
him.
his face didn't kill him.
No, he became a snowman, a
Yeah.
snow boy, a big evil snow boy. It's so bad. It's so cheap. Like I get
He
it's a
looks
cheap
too
film.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks too. What they did is they went to a shop and said we need a snowman suit, and they bought a snowman suit and they did nothing to it except
Yeah,
maybe
they
in one
forgot to
scene
say make it creepy, make it scary.
draw eyebrows on it. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's he has twigs for eyebrows, angry eyebrows.
yeah. That was all. That was all they did to
In,
it.
have that in every scene though? I swear those were like not all.
I don't think they're in every scene. I think it's just when he's really angry.
He's emoting.
He grows twigs.
I mean, they do take a. Oh, he's just really not in it, and not in that he's
No,
not
he's
central to
not
the
in
plot, but they
it.
just don't have any shots with him in because they don't want to animate him moving.
The first time I think we see him in action is when there's a very poorly acted bully child who goes over to Ryan and he's like, "We want to sled through your yard,"
Yeah.
and the snowman somehow decapitates him with his own sled.
Doesn't that the bully kid? What does the bully kid say? Because I remember it being really jarring. It was like,
He's like, oh, there's black ice. Why have you built a snowman? There's black ice. We want to sled down it.
Yeah,
This
like
is
you're on a
the black
primo,
ice
you're on like a
sled
primo
zone.
black
primo
ice zone, buddy.
And Ryan's like, "This is my dad's front yard." He's like, "I don't care."
Oh, sorry, Pete. Sorry to jump back again. Just a nanosecond. I'm not sure if you guys picked up on this, but I'm not sure how you couldn't because the scene was so long. But when he's actually adding the eyes and nose and sort of mouth bit of Jack Frost,
Yeah.
he's using like a snowman glove as a reference.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't know where to put eyes, nose on a mouth on a snowman.
as we've seen, the snow in this town is strange and unusual in how it falls. So there's only like 2 streets in the entire town that has snow, and one of it is near where they do the snowman building competition.
Yeah,
Every other
considering it's
street
supposed
is
to be
dry.
so snowy that they can't get the FBI in, who obviously the FBI try and get involved to like clean up their mess essentially,
Yeah,
but also observe.
to deal with the acid problem. That they
Yeah.
caused.
But yeah, the snow is 99% beanbag beans and glue.
I just want to put forward that this town has a very corrupt police force. Because this child is decapitated on his property. His child is one of the only witnesses, and he just goes, "Well, my kid said a snowman did it, so nothing that can be done."
Yeah, you never hear about that parent's mother or dad. You
Well,
just
You
We
do, 'cause
do.
they're murdered later.
Yeah, I was going to
Yeah,
say we
really.
actually do, and their reaction is pretty horrible because
Yeah.
like the husband can't deal with it, and it just gets really angry, which I think makes sense because the wife's like, "Shall we light the tree?" And he's like, "Our son's not been dead for 5 hours yet. Can you like?
Yeah.
And you want to start
Oh, yeah.
celebrating Christmas?"
And like,
And the daughter's like, "I'm not going to sit around and be miserable. I'm going to go and fuck someone." Essentially.
Which I don't want to, shame anyone for how they choose to deal with their grief, but she chooses to sneak into the sheriff's house for some reason.
Yeah, which is
to
what,
have
10 yards
sex.
away from where her brother just got decapitated.
oh, I think the reason is because they had 3 sets.
Well, they probably wanted you to think it was a different house and then realised they couldn't.
No.
But it's a very weird
It doesn't matter,
house.
it's the same
I
house.
think the in movie reason was I'll do it for revenge because his son killed my brother or something, and it's like that's a weird reason to want to bang someone there.
Yeah, I will say that scene, the undressing scene,
Yeah, it was funny.
is the
That
best
was
in
funny.
the movie.
That was.
Oh,
the
they've
only-
just got so many layers to get through.
The only that is my one thing I took away from this film is that was the only joke.
That was
No,
that was a good joke. Like,
That was the only.
Oh
not
no,
good
you're
joke.
missing a really good one actually. Because you might have tuned this out, Mikey.
Hmm.
It was after the kid had been decapitated, and they're discussing it, and he's like saying, he was saying, how could my son have like killed your son? He's got 2 foot on him, and then the secretary yells out in the background, "Not anymore."
There's that one excellent scene that genuinely made me laugh where they come across the first dead body and he's all frozen
yeah.
and he's ominously rocking in a chair, and then about a minute into the conversation they go, "Get your foot off of there," and he stops rocking.
Yeah.
Oh no, I think other jokes that Mikey might have also missed as well, because it's becoming apparent you did not pay attention to this masterpiece.
Yeah.
You know, the mum
shockingly.
gets what basically wrapped around in Christmas lights. They carry the body bag off in the background and it's tree shaped.
Oh, right. I must
Yeah.
have missed that. But when she dies, like the bit where he's like just shoving an obvious doll's face into a box of Christmas ornaments was ridiculous. Like,
Yeah, a little while later, when they're out, I think it's when they're out having a cigarette and discussing the fact that they know it's like obviously sort of a supernatural thing, but they
Yeah.
haven't quite worked out how they're going to deal with it, or they know it's Jack Frost, but they don't know the FBI if the FBI know it's Jack Frost or whatever.
yeah.
And you just see them moving the body, and yeah, they've got it's a Christmas tree shaped body bag.
Okay, that's pretty funny. I mean, maybe I missed it because I watched this on YouTube and it was just poor quality.
I watched it on YouTube too, but
No,
I did
watched
have
it
it on my
properly.
lap, and I was like really close to the
Yeah.
screen, so I feel like I actually got a lot of the detail. But it was one of those things like some of the background stuff and the throwaway lines were brilliant in this film.
I just want to mention the fact that Jill's boyfriend puts ice in wine.
Yeah, the wine.
Also, it's gross, chipped off freezer ice. It's
Yeah.
not even
No,
ice cubes.
that's not good ice. That's like salmonella chicken ice.
and,
And
Oh,
also,
no,
he
that-
doesn't
yeah.
question the fact that their freezer is totally
Yeah.
fucked.
and like during that scene, that's when she goes upstairs to use the hairdryer for one of the many hairdryer scenes. But
Yeah.
she puts the radio on first and then uses the hairdryer, and I'm like, you're not gonna hear the radio. And then when she finishes drying her hair, she turns the radio off.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why?
Well, she doesn't want to ruin the mystery and let the boy know that she's just dried her hair.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the
because all
mystery is why is she drying her already dried hair? But
Yeah.
No, she built up a sweat taking off 30 layers of clothes.
true. At
Yeah,
least 5
probably.
maps.
I actually have an enlightening but awful story about Jill's fate in the movie. Because in the version that we watched, they actually cut out her death scene, which was probably for the best. Because in the original version of the movie, she gets into the bathtub full of water, and then Jack Frost becomes the water and sexually assaults her with his carrot to the
Oh,
point
wow.
that she dies.
Yeah, that's pretty fucked. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, the scene is still out there, and I don't recommend that anyone watch the version with it in because it's
Nice.
not good. I have
Okay.
another dark piece of trivia. I'll get it out now, and then we can go to the light stuff. The guy who played the sheriff died in an avalanche.
Oh,
Make
no.
of that what you will.
Ooh,
Spooky.
coincidences.
Yeah.
what, before they filmed the film?
No, like in like 2008. It was way later.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
cool. It wasn't like the year before, and then they just had his
Yeah.
corpse wandering around on set. That's where they got the idea for the film from.
Oh, it would have been much better if there was an avalanche at the start. But like, how
The next bit that did make me giggle is when the obviously Jack Frost gets in before the kids manage to bang, and he's trying to reach into the drawer to get out a big knife to defend himself with, and he gets out first a cake slice, then a whisk, and then a skewer, and then he's like, "Oh, fuck it, I guess I've got a skewer."
And like
That's-
everyone in this movie seemed to be incapable of opening cupboards unless they did it incredibly slowly. Like as if it was trying to build tension, or be a joke about trying to build tension, but just being shit, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's very hard to tell. In this film, it's very hard to tell what is and isn't like satire.
Yeah.
Because like, is it deliberately bad or is it just bad?
I don't remember who he's killing at the time, but there's a bit where Jack Frost refers to himself as the world's most pissed off snow cone. He fires an icicle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
that's a weird
the-
power that he gets for no reason.
That's the dad.
No,
So
that's
Sheriff?
the kid before he gets to fuck. Because I remember in that scene there's a bit where he's like up against the wall, and then there's a jump cut, but the shot doesn't change.
Yeah.
Just he changes position, and that happens a couple of times in the film. There's just clearly bits missing.
Yeah. They didn't have enough money for a director. You think they had enough money for an editor?
Wait, they didn't have enough money for a director.
No, they didn't have enough money. So the writer had to be the director because they couldn't afford a director.
Oh no.
So,
That checks out, to be
Yeah.
fair.
how long does it take the sheriff and the FBI guy to decide where to put up roadblocks? It's a tiny town. Surely there's only so many roads. There's like 3 separate
Well, there
scenes where
were,
they're
but then he
going,
missed one.
maybe
didn't he?
there.
Well, it's a tiny town. There's 3
There's-
houses.
There's like, the fence in the graveyard got knocked down.
Yeah,
Why do they, yeah. Why do they need to put up roadblocks?
because
Like I thought the
roadblocks
point
can
was
clearly.
no one could go
Yeah.
anywhere because of the snow.
Because like
'Cause
there's
it's,
there's bits of it where it's like you can tell it's trying to take the piss out of things. Like when he's like, you can only kill him in his solid form, and he's like, no, I think I can kill him now, and he shoots up the FBI guy, like shoots the puddle, and it's
Yeah.
like, cool, that might have been funny, but and
So
then they
the-
get all the fucking hair dryers.
The first solid attempt they make at destroying Jack Frost, they have the assistant that the sheriff works with has enough hairspray to nuke a building.
Was that hairspray? I thought it was bug spray.
It was everything. It was every spray that they happened to find in the cupboards of the people.
It was
who
a
worked
lot
on
of
the movie.
hairspray as well, though.
That bit where they're like, so they run up to the window and they're going to try and escape while they're filling the room with the spray so they can blow it up, and they're like, oh no, the window's locked, how will we ever get out? And I'm like, you've got a gun, fucking smash it with the butt of the gun and get the fuck out of there.
There's
Yeah,
that
considering their
painful
plan
scene
is,
where
like-
he's going back for the keys and he's just
Oh God, that
really
scene took
slowly
so
reaching
long.
towards them.
And then it turns out there's a guy in the prison cell that they forgot about. I guess
Which, to be fair, they did show us like putting it, because that's the guy that like obviously sees Jack Frost and freaks the fuck out.
Yeah.
So they put him in prison because
they
oh
can
yeah,
do
because
that.
he tries to start destroying the snowmen that
Yeah.
are being judged for the competition. Which,
They
to be fair, that's what I'd do if I saw a snowman and then I went in and there was like snowmen all over the
Yeah.
town.
that small town takes the snowman building competition very seriously.
It's the only thing they've
Small
got on.
town. Yeah.
That's true. It's a small town. It snows once a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
That's
that's
their
fair.
one thing. Like,
Yeah, they can only build a snowman, and if you try to destroy it, prison is where you no trial, no nothing, prison.
luckily, you might escape before they shoot a window, which makes the building explode, because that's how bullets work.
Yeah, 100%.
And then the weird scene where Jack Frost has come out and he's like all made wrong and he's half melted and he's like all bits are on differently and he's just like, I'm a
Yeah,
Picasso. I'm
Got like
Yeah.
human
"Ah."
flesh inside of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
bit. That's where I sort of. I mean, I was, I was withholding
Children.
disbelief.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, suspension of disbelief.
Yes, I was suspending hard for this film, but that did sort of irk me where it's like, oh,
Yeah.
he's turned into water, and then they're like, but it's fleshy water on the inside. I'm like, that makes no fucking sense now.
No.
Like you made some very clear rules, and I was fine with that, and now you've broken them, and I don't really understand why, because it doesn't
Well,
add anything.
I think at this point in the movie, they just completely changed what they were doing. Because from this point, they start actually making puns all the time. Because there wasn't, apart from him saying about being a snow cone, there weren't really that many like one-liners until the last, say, half an hour. When
Oh, yeah, then they
there's
got crazy
so
with it.
many. There's just
I
so
do think they
many.
were trying to add. They felt like because the horror, in inverted commas, aspect of it was amping up, they had to amp up the comedy as well, and that was the only way they knew
That's
how.
the only comedy. I mean, at that point, the like tension that they were trying to build didn't exist anymore. Like that was it. They were done with the tension, and now it was just like scary slasher movie.
Yeah,
So I guess they were like, we have to fill. Yeah, the rest of this space has to be.
it has to be something.
Also,
Has to-
did you guys pick up on, and this happens, I think, towards the end, where obviously they've got everyone in the community centre and the curfew, or whatever, and they're about to go out and trap Jack Frost or lure him away or whatever. They just said the line, I think it was your place or mine. They're standing outside the community centre, and this bloke just walks out and past them in the background, and they do not acknowledge him. He doesn't say anything. It desperately looks like someone who just decided they needed to go to the loo or something. Or there. I rewatched it a few times because I was like, what? Like, because the whole point was like, obviously people aren't supposed to leave that building. It's a
Yeah.
curfew. But this guy just like walks off, and it's
It just
So-
doesn't surprise. It's almost like this film wasn't well planned or anything.
like, did they really not think they should retake that cut, or did they?
There
not
was
know?
another scene similar to that when the sheriff first walks into the sheriff's office to talk with his assistant after the first murder has taken place. There's a shot where he's walking in the door and someone ominously walks in the foreground, and I was like, who's the significance of this person? They never come up again. It's just a poorly done shot.
Yeah.
Sounds
There's
like
a high chance they just didn't notice.
yeah.
Like, they just might not notice or making.
Or maybe
the
they
film.
did two cut. They did two shots, and that was the better one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of things that are poorly done, we'll get towards the end of this movie of this kid making his fucking chocolate lumps by putting antifreeze in it.
Yeah, they need to have a
Like-
serious conversation. with
Ryan
their
put
kid.
antifreeze in the oatmeal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
That's fucked up.
I'm not surprised that the sheriff dad like just kept it in his car and didn't bother eating it, but it was lucky he did, otherwise he wouldn't have found the snowman's one weakness, which was fucking antifreeze.
Which,
Because
makes
duh.
yeah, how did no one be like, maybe we try the antifreeze?
Yeah.
Well, because they were just trying to explode him instead, weren't they? Because they thought
Yeah.
that worked.
True,
Exactly.
The file,
And
Instead
it did
of-
kind of look like it was working.
Instead of filling a truck with antifreeze and jumping
Yeah.
in it, and then being like, "Oh no, his hand forgot,"
Yeah, why did
Um,
his hand fall off?
and then they
They
like
made it snow.
baptize the kid in antifreeze while he's holding the snow hand.
Well,
Like,
you know that he's not going to put antifreeze in porridge again.
well, you'd hope so,
Oh.
but this might give him more of an antifreeze addiction. Like he's just been dunked head first in it.
Yeah, I mean, isn't antifreeze like quite toxic?
yes,
Yeah.
very incredibly. Like, if this film didn't happen, if Jack Frost, I was gonna say, if this film didn't happen, God, I wish I was in that world. Jack Frost didn't happen, and he didn't get turned into a snowman, and like, that man would have died.
Yeah, he'd have
Yeah.
just
Well, I
eaten
think he wouldn't have
antifreeze
eaten it.
cake.
I think.
I think he may have considered it because there's that scene where he's going to throw it away and then he hears the voice of his son going, "I made it special just for you,
Yeah.
Dad." And he takes it out the bin.
Yeah.
See, if there was antifreeze in that, I want to know what the fuck was in the gingerbread men he made.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
fucking
asbestos.
bleach. Yeah, that's what he was covering. It wasn't snow, it was asbestos.
Maybe we
I
should
want you
stop-
to stay warm.
Maybe we should stop letting the child just do what you
I
want
thought it
to
was
the
going to be
kitchen.
like pepper, like he'd put like cayenne pepper or something
No, antifreeze.
in it, because at least that's an ingredient.
No,
But this is a child that needs discipline.
yeah.
It's a child that
There's
needs
not once,
constant
but
supervision
twice.
in the kitchen. Like, what was the mum doing? Did she not notice him like hefting a bottle of
what I mean.
antifreeze into the?
They walk in, he's just making all sorts of concoctions, he's cooking unsupervised. Like,
Yeah.
at least say, like, go to your room or something. I'm not saying, kick his ass or anything, but
Stop making these.
No, I mean you have to have
horrific-
like a real conversation about not putting antifreeze. It's like the sort of question. As a parent, you never expect to have to tell a child not to do that.
yeah, like in this specific situation, it did work out, Ryan. However,
I don't think this is going to happen again. So, what out of 10? Because I feel like everyone knows what I'm going to say.
Oh yeah, no.
Out of
How many excess carrots would you put in a snowman out of 10?
out of 10. Poppy, your film. You picked it.
I am between a 3 and a 4, honestly.
That's low. I was expecting higher. Wow.
I'll give it a 4 out of 10.
I
Just
need to
because,
lower that.
I did enjoy it. I did laugh. I'm probably not going to watch it again. It wasn't technically very well made. The acting wasn't particularly good. The effects aren't particularly good. Yeah, there are better Christmas horror films, I think.
Oh, by far.
Yeah. What I do remember, well, I'm surprised you got it that low because I do remember way back, like when I first met you, you were talking about this film and how much you wanted to see it.
I can't believe that I held off watching it until now. It's like I remember it every few years, and I go, "Oh, I should really watch that."
Yeah, because I remember you watching the trailer for it, and I remember seeing you watching it and be like, "Huh, that seems like a weird film." And then when you mentioned it again, I was like, "Oh
I'm-
yeah."
I'm someone who can appreciate a bad film, but realistically, I know how they should be rated.
It's nice that you went with realism, though, not personal taste. So, Helena, what do you think? Out of 10.
I'm gonna give it 5 Christmas tree body bags out of 10. It was pretty crap, but in a good way. I had a great time. I was expecting it to be a lot creepier based on the front cover. Yeah, very little blood, very little gore. Yeah, it was pretty good. The dialogue was bad. The jokes were pretty solid though, some of them, and yeah, they landed. I think they really tickled me.
I mean,
So yeah, I was expecting a bad time, and instead I got some good jokes and some really, really bad acting. So I was pleasantly surprised.
It was like peak bad jokes and bad acting. Like, at least some bits were funny.
I like that there was sort of like, it looked like they were putting in some genuine effort, but with like a budget of approximately $5
Yeah.
and like a lot of volunteers.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can't ask a volunteer to retake a scene that many times. So
Yeah.
Especially, yeah, no.
I feel like I'm going to have to give my rating before Mikey just goes off on one.
Oh, I'm gonna go off.
So, this was not a good movie, but it was like, there was some dumb fun enjoyment out of it. So, I think I'm going to give this a 3, what I hope the plotline to Venom Let There Be Carnage is, because it's the same concept. Like, 3 out of 10.
He did become an ice symbiote, I guess.
Exactly. A serial killer gets a weird symbiote on it and can morph and murder people. Therefore, it's the same movie.
But yeah,
Yeah.
we never actually covered the fact that he can get into places because he can willingly turn into either water or ice.
Which is, an incredible power.
So yeah, they basically just put a hose against the door whenever they want to be like, oh no, Jack's gonna get in this
Yeah, no.
room.
Oh
They
no.
ruined the door.
Oh no, oh no, we've got water damage on the carpet. Oh no.
At one point, they like try and slow him down by shoving bits of kids' artwork from the community centre
Yeah.
into the.
Into the cracks of the door.
It's not good.
Oh no, it was not good.
So this is going to sound higher than you'd think. 2.5?
Okay.
Mainly
Got a
because,
star.
well, I can't give it a 1, and I can't give it because we've watched worst films that I've given 1 and 2.
Yeah, we've already wasted our one.
Yeah. Well,
Oh
it's
no,
not
there'll be
wasted.
more.
It's not wasted.
As far as I'm concerned, you get a 1 for turning on the camera.
Do you just keep
Exactly.
adding every time you're sort of mildly impressed?
And the 2.5
Like,
was for
ooh.
like,
Oh,
A
I couldn't
scene
do that.
change. That's a 2.
and the extra 1.5, the 2 jokes that landed for me, which is one, the taking off the clothes joke, because that was just brilliant. Just stand by that joke in any film. I can't remember what the other joke is, so it might just be 2.
Like that scene with the undressing, I think it would have been funnier if they didn't speed it up as well. Like, just keep trying to act as if it's like a normal, like,
Yeah.
intro to a sex scene of like the sexy undressing, but there just keeps on being more and more layers because they speed it up and play some weird music over it as well.
I think what
I
made-
think that might have been an editor's choice.
yeah, they probably
Yeah.
ran out of time.
Yeah.
I think what made me laugh about it was them like stopping, like they were done undressing and there was still clothes.
Yeah.
That was I think that's what got me.
Yeah, well, I think she's down to her final layer, and then she's like, "I need a fire and wine."
And
Well, yeah,
to
then-
go and
fair
dry
enough.
my hair because
Like, yeah, and to go and dry my hair.
I am
Yeah.
soaked
Listen
from
to the
taking off all
radio.
those layers.
yeah. Which was great because them being in one layer of clothes never came up. They
No.
were like fine from then on. They were no way we.
It's almost like it wasn't actually cold where they were filming.
Yeah. It would have been great if there was another joke of him trying to put all his clothes back on to escape.
Yeah. That would
That
definitely
would have been
improve
great.
this
That would
movie.
have been the other half, the other 0.5 that I was going to give it. No, I'm down to a 2. I'm back down to a 2.
Yeah, I want to personally apologise to everyone who.
I had a great time. Don't apologise.
No, apologise. You should.
Yeah.
No, no,
Yeah.
How do you think
say
I
anything.
feel? I've wanted to watch this for years.
Yeah, we did. At least we
Yeah.
didn't have to pay for it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Well, I have been Dan,
I've been Michael.
I've been Helena.
I've been Poppy.
and you can find this podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Hilton Pod. That's at HILTM Pod. We're on Discord as well. Let us know how long it takes you to take off that many layers of clothes.
And
And
how
Oh.
is there music in the background?
Yeah.
Wait, that
does
makes
it
me sound
speed
like a stripper.
up?
the worst stripper ever.
I never bothered to put a profile picture because I only use it for this.
Well, that P looks just like you.
It's true.
That's probably
Big
it.
fat ass.
At the top.
Yeah. Don't body shame me.